it's Olivia, and today I am coming to you with a short book review, hopefully short book review, my first book review. And the book that I'm going to be talking about today is Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by LaRocca. And first of all, look at that cover. Don't you think it just grabs your attention? Really striking, and probably the reason that I stopped scrolling through Instagram and was like, okay, what is this book about first? And I think that if you watch any kind of horror booktube, that you've probably seen this cover already, and maybe you already know a little bit about what it's about, but I read it in one sitting the day after it arrived, so wanted to share some of my thoughts about it. So the synopsis for this novella is: a whirlpool of darkness churns at the heart of a macabre ballet between two lonely young women in an internet chat room in the early 2000s. A darkness that threatens to forever transform them once they finally succumb to their most horrific desires. What have you done today to deserve your eyes? Yeah. I do think it delivers on that kind of brief synopsis. What I was expecting whenever I first read this, though, about an internet chat room in the early 2000s, I guess for me that evoked... First of all, let me go ahead and say this is not going to be a spoiler review. I'm going to try to be spoiler free, but this book is only 112 pages, so anything you say about it after just the little synopsis probably gives hints of, even just talking about the tone of it is going to give some stuff away. So if you don't want if you want to go in blind, which I would recommend, honestly, then maybe wait to watch this until after you read it if it sounds interesting to you. But I just wanted to go ahead and share my thoughts on it. What I thought whenever I heard internet chat room was an internet chat room, but the way that this book is actually told is in an email exchange between two women and in an instant messaging exchange between two women. So there's never a chat room where it's multiple parties coming in. It's just these two women. They're the only people that you hear from at any point in the story, other than the author's note at the beginning. So the story opens, let me see. The characters are Agnes and Zoe. So the story opens with Agnes trying to sell an antique apple peeler that belonged to her grandmother on some sort of forum marketplace, and then Zoe emails her because she's interested in buying the apple peeler because it once belonged to I don't even remember, I think a musician that her grandfather likes, and she wanted to get it for him. And the tone from the very beginning, when they're talking about selling this apple peeler, is just already beyond bizarre. It's so stilted and a very not in the author was not writing it, that the author was writing it and it's accidentally stilted. It's just a bizarre tone to it, where the two women are repeating some of the same phrases to each other, I'm hesitant to do this, I'm hesitant to do this, and being overly polite in a way that comes off just odd. So they connect further whenever Agnes is telling Zoe about the history of this apple peeler and like the kind of the history of her family, revealing that she is gay, and then Zoe, you know, lets her know that she's part of the queer community as well. I don't think it really specifies whether she's gay or bi, or I think she just like says like whenever you're gay you can choose your own family, and like that's part of like the beauty of being in the queer community. And so they get onto a more comfortable basis from there, where they switch from like emails from like this very like official marketplace thing to being more intimate with each other. And so it's like the relationship between these two women as they become closer, and as the relationship between them starts warping. And I think this is where I've seen some, for me, this was a 5-star read. That was my impression whenever I finished the book, was like, wow, what did I read? That was incredible. That it evoked for me this like very familiar feeling of like not being catfish, but just the mystery of being online and not knowing who you're talking to, and like how dark those relationships can become, because they can be so intense whenever you have this this relationship that's like behind a screen, because you'll tell people things that you wouldn't tell people face to face. And so these online relationships that you form can just become so emotionally charged, and whenever you have that much emotion behind it, that things can get out of hand. And like clearly this is a horror book, so they get very out of hand. This is I don't think a spoiler, but one thing that I think concerned some reviewers but did not concern me, and like people are totally free to feel however they want to feel about a book, and I don't think that you're a good person for reading a book. I don't think you're a bad person for reading a book. They're totally free to feel however they want. But one of the blurbs for this book mentioned that like that a kink that's explored in this book is abusive, and I don't think that the actual meat of what the author wrote was saying that. The blurb took it that way, and then the blurb was published. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with portraying any kind of kink as abusive if it is between two consensual parties, and then I don't believe that that's what the author was trying to say. I did not get that impression at all. I think the author, Eric, is, you know, a part of the queer community as well, not a woman, but I think some people were concerned about having a man writing like a dark story between two queer women. And as a queer woman, I don't speak for all queer women, but like I feel like I'm extremely sensitive to whenever I feel like things are being done not respectfully. And for me, at least, that I appreciated what the author was doing, because what I took it for was more just that we can tell a variety of queer stories, that there's not like one type of queer person, and like not all queer people have to be represented as like role models or whatever in writing, and especially in horror. So I think that just like being open to that all kinds of queer stories can be written, and that's what I took away from this. And I don't think that he was intending for it to be kink shaming. I did not get that from it, and I was kind of like surprised that's what other people took from it whenever I was reading reviews. The last thing I was gonna say was I think that this is such a perfect frame and time that like I think that people who are even like a couple of years younger than me, that they're not going to like really get this exact internet time and like understand how bizarre it already felt like in the year 2000 to like be online and connecting to people online for the very first time. And this to me was a horror story about like that ambiguity and like where that can go, more than anything about their orientation or kink preferences. So you can read it. You can come up with your own conclusions. That's what I came to. And yeah, this does get very, very dark. The tone in it is like incredible, that it goes to like these really dark, bizarre places. And a little bit like body horror. I don't know. I feel like sometimes like the term body horror is a little bit overused whenever people just mean something that's happening to your body and not like the body itself being the horror. But I would love to know what other people think about this, because in 100 pages, it had a big effect on me, and I just want to hear what other people have to say. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really cool. I read it in one sitting. I think that it's very easy to read in one sitting, especially because it's like, you know, a lot of it's like told in chat logs and emails. It just reads really easily. But I would say it does get dark, and even though I think it's really cool, I think that if you're not already, because I review different things on this channel and you know me from different places, if you don't already like horror, this wouldn't be one that I think, you know, is for all readers at all. It's not something that I would like blanket recommend to everyone. Like, you know, I was obviously talking about that there's definitely I found that there was a lot of nuance to the characterizations, but there's also just like a lot of nuance and like discourse around some of the topics that are explored in here. So I think that it's for a certain type of person, and like looking up content warnings would be beneficial if you're someone who needs to know those kinds of things ahead of time, because definitely a lot of stuff happens. But I thought it was really good. So let me know what you thought if you read it, and I'll catch you again soon. Things have gotten worse since we last spoke. And isn't that kind of relatable? Bye-bye.